Scarlett Walker, and I am a candidate in the Instructional Technology program at Kennesaw State University. This presentation includes my Capstone Research Project that was submitted to the faculty at Kennesaw State University in partial fulfillment of the requirements for the degree of Education Specialist. Over the course of 2 semesters, I worked very hard compiling research from literature and various forms of data to complete this capstone project. I am proud to present to you technology integration into gifted education. How is giftedness defined? The answer to this question is complicated, and many experts in the field of education disagree on an exact definition. Johnson identifies gifted students as intellectually superior children and youth who perform at higher levels both academically and creatively. Children possessing these abilities are found in all populations from all socioeconomic areas of any race, ethnicity, gender, or nationality. Given these parameters, one must recognize that students identified as gifted require services not ordinarily provided in regular school programs. When considering a student's educational placement, their social and emotional needs are often neglected. Unfortunately, gifted children are at great risk of being misidentified as having behavioral problems. Gifted students have different learning, social, and emotional needs from their peers, which require services not ordinarily provided by typical school programs. While the needs of some gifted students can be met in general education settings in mainstream schools, others need emotional and academic support not offered in traditional settings. Gifted students require learning activities at an appropriate level and pace. Gifted students should be encouraged to pursue higher level goals and aspirations. They should become independent thinkers, disciplined learners, and able to self-direct. For the needs of gifted learners to truly be met, it is crucial that educators are aware of the social, cognitive, and emotional needs of gifted and talented learners. Many children from ethnically and culturally diverse backgrounds, as well as minorities and economically disadvantaged families, are largely ignored when their children are identified as gifted. One problem that occurs is that some gifted learners become bored with school, therefore exerting only minimal effort in their studies, just enough to get by, never really achieving their full academic potential. Schools must acknowledge that gifted students require services beyond what they can provide in a general education setting. However well-intentioned, the gifted population has been neglected. Van Tassel-Baska states that to meet the needs of gifted and talented students, an emphasis must be placed on accelerated practices coupled with the use of technology options and opportunities. The general purpose of this study is to determine whether the integration of technology into gifted curriculum affects the motivation of gifted and talented minority students in underserved populations. To meet the needs of gifted learners, it is necessary to determine if the integration of technology will be beneficial instructionally. Various technologies are integrated into daily instruction and allow students the opportunities to work collaboratively with ability-based groups. This study is designed to investigate the benefits of technology integration into general education classrooms to meet the diverse needs of gifted and talented students. To meet the needs of gifted learners, Feldhusen states that there are a variety of services that K-12 educators can utilize to serve these students. At the elementary, middle, or high school level, gifted students can be offered accelerated classes or correspondence courses. Gifted students can be promoted to a higher grade or grouped in multi-age classrooms. Of course, there is the pull-out model, which most schools follow for gifted learners, which has proven beneficial. Technology is constantly evolving and advancing. With these changes, new opportunities arise to meet the diverse needs of gifted and talented students. Gifted students have the potential to benefit greatly from these new opportunities for teaching and learning that were unavailable a decade ago. Education has evolved and educators have come to realize that in order to meet the needs of today's diverse learners, instruction should be tailored to the learner. Gifted students are a dynamic mix of learners who learn at different rates than other students their age. These students crave a variety of topics and depth in areas of learning. Parathuvadi and Wren state that technology serves not only as an instructional tool to provide differentiated instruction, but also gives to students a creative outlet. The authors strongly discourage using technology as just drill and practice, but rather as a tool to encourage critical thinking skills. What about at-risk youth and underrepresented gifted minority students interested in sciences? How can technology integration into gifted instruction effectively reach these children? Kubilius states that the best educational option for gifted and talented students interested in math, science, technology, or engineering are specialized STEM schools. It is believed that these specialized STEM schools better prepare students for STEM careers by exposing students to authentic research experiences, which gives them a realistic view of scientific investigation and inquiry. What is needed to meet the diverse needs of gifted learners are gifted programs that offer comprehensive services that encourage students to pursue higher level goals and aspirations. A convergent parallel design method was utilized to simultaneously collect both quantitative and qualitative data to understand the effects of the integration of technology into gifted curriculum. Creswell states that the collection of both quantitative and qualitative data yields a more complete understanding of the research problem because the weaknesses in one data collection form is strengthened by the results of a better instrument. The data collected from this study helped me better understand the attitudes and feelings gifted students have as it relates to the utilization of technology into classroom instruction. To better understand the effects of technology integration into gifted curriculum, I gathered data from a parent questionnaire and student interest inventory, in addition to open-ended student interviews, classroom observations of students' behavior in the general education classroom, and analyzed student journals. The quantitative data provided numeric scores, whereas the qualitative data was transcribed from my field notes, questionnaires, and surveys. The results were used to determine the implementation of different instructional strategies. The data from the surveys also helped to determine the best instructional strategies to use to motivate student participation and learning. Research question 1 was addressed by calculating the percentages of students who answered each question of the technology survey. The data from the technology survey for students were analyzed using Google Forms. Participants responded to the survey via a link to the Google form. The survey contains 20 structured questions. These questions include both dichotomous questions as well as questions based on the level of measurement. Students responded to the survey at a rate of 58.3%. Research question 2 was designed to determine if student choice in technology affected their degree of academic engagement and increased their motivation. To answer research question 2, 8 students were observed 3 times over a duration of 2 days for a period of 10 minutes each using the BOSS app from Pearson Education. A count and percentage of each category of behavior, both active and passive task engagement, was calculated and recorded on an interval chart. Research question 3 was designed to determine which instructional strategies, specifically technology, can be implemented that would increase student motivation and encourage them to be academically successful. Student opinions and preferences were recorded in one-on-one interviews with the teacher. Responses were compiled into a narrative. Students also completed the Learning Climate Questionnaire to assess the classroom learning climate. When asked on the technology survey how often students use the computer at home, 71% of the students reported using a computer daily. 29% of the respondents use the computer about once a week at home. Students use a computer to complete homework assignments, school projects, to practice skills on Study Island, playing video games, and practicing math, reading, or spelling. According to the results of the analysis conducted for Research Question 1, students prefer using desktop or laptop computers when compared to handheld technologies such as iPads or tablets. When using the computer at school, students find that they are helpful. Computers are used to do homework and complete school projects. Classroom observations give teachers insight into one's own instructional strategies and techniques. Informal observations allow teachers to observe student reactions from a different perspective as they are engaged in learning. When students are being observed, it is important to note the levels of engagement as well as the type of engagement. Of the students observed, most students were actively engaged in the lesson, which utilized technology the students selected. The BOSS app provided a quantitative index to observing student behavior while engaged in a learning activity. When compared with peers, you see the degree to which the level of target behaviors differs from classroom expectations. From the data, it is clear that students are more actively engaged in instruction when given a choice of technology. The Learning Climate Questionnaire used in this study was adapted by Williams and Deci. Typically, the questionnaire is used to assess specific learning settings. In this case, a third-grade classroom. The wording of the questions was adapted slightly so that the questions pertain to this particular classroom. All questions pertain to the autonomy support of the classroom teacher. Scores of the 6-item questionnaire were calculated by averaging the individual item scores. One of the benefits and beauties of technology is that it is constantly evolving and advancing. With these dynamic changes in technology, new opportunities arise to meet the diverse needs of gifted and talented students. Gifted students have the potential to benefit greatly from these new opportunities for teaching and learning that were unavailable a decade ago. As unfortunate as it is, many children from ethnically and culturally diverse backgrounds, as well as minorities and economically disadvantaged families, are largely ignored when their children are identified as gifted. One way to meet the needs of gifted learners, schools must acknowledge that gifted students require services beyond what they can provide in a general education setting. The intentions of this study were to determine whether the integration of technology into gifted curriculum affects the motivation of gifted and talented minority students in underserved populations. Gifted students must gain experience in activities which encourage their development of logical deduction and problem-solving skills. As teachers, it is our job to provide learning environments that allow gifted learners a place where they can relate intellectually, creatively, and artistically with other students who share their abilities.
As I stated earlier, I devoted a tremendous amount of time completing this project. For the past 5 years, I have taught at a Title I school where the majority of my students are economically disadvantaged. This topic is of interest to me because as a gifted certified teacher, I see far too many students whose instructional needs are not being met. And as someone who specializes in technology integration, I truly believe that technology can help fill in those gaps. I hope that you have found this information informative and interesting. Thanks so much for your attention.